Good morning. How's everybody doing today? This wonderful, beautiful Monday morning on the Ask the Expert show. Today, I've got an awesome guest today by the name of Bradley Partin. Brad Partin is a student of mine, was a student of mine, and he's tearing things up and he's taking charge and he's going out there and just kind of he's raising the bar for everybody. And so I've got him as a guest today, and we're just kind of talk about the ins and outs of getting started in the real estate business and growing. And he's making a lot of things happen. So he's a mover and a shaker. And Bradley, can you hear me?
Hey.
You there?
Yeah. Good morning, Gary. How are you?
Morning, sir. How are you, man?
Good. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, there's a little bit of a delay, I think. So.
Okay.
But yeah, you look like you're on a Chinese movie where your lips are moving and then all of a sudden the voice comes in.
Well, I hope people can understand me.
Yeah, it sounds good though. So, but anyway, well, thanks for being a guest on the show today, and you're doing amazing things right now, Brad. And I just want to point that out and how proud I am of you of where you started at and where you're at right now. That's kind of less than a year, so hadn't it, or maybe a little less than 2 years, and you've really started growing.
Yeah, thanks, Gary. I really appreciate that. On June 15th, 2018, was the date that I had closed my first property to flip.
Mm-hmm.
So
okay,
it's been over 2 years now. 2 years, 2 weeks today. So
that's awesome, man. So You are kind of like a mover and a shaker right now. I mean, everything you're touching right now turns to gold, and you're setting the world on fire, man. And so, tell us a little bit about like your background. You obviously weren't always in the real estate business. What have you been doing?
Actually, I did tool and die. I did some, designing, engineering, manufacturing of like automotive for up until a few months ago when COVID hit. And then I had recently resigned from that job. So I have not always done real estate full time. So this is a new transition for me, but it's amazing to say the least.
Yeah, it was a good decision you made. You were able to do it. Now, when I first met you, one of the things I said is you got to make sure you have enough monthly income coming in to replace your current job. And you've by far exceeded that by far with all your rentals and passive income coming in. So tell us about like how you got started, Brad, like, how scary it was and what made you decide to get in real estate. Like what is that? What happened there?
I guess ever since I was young, I always thought it'd be amazing to do development. I remember even thinking back when I was in junior high, building houses would just be the coolest thing. I'm not building houses today, but I am involved in real estate heavily. So I've always had that sense, growing up, watching HGTV and knowing I was very, very capable of doing all that. So, I eventually, saved up some money, sold a property. And then I was like, well, I see some guys flipping some properties. So, I'm going to test that out. So not having a clue of what I was doing, I bought a house. I bought it on the MLS. I bought it too high, put too much into it, took way too long. I actually hired a buddy of mine for an hourly wage, which he did an amazing job. He actually was a lifesaver on that one. Still ended up making some money. It was about $18,000. In fact, I'll remember it forever. So I made $18K flipping a property, and then during that time, I had started reaching out, networking, reading books, listening to podcasts, and my mindset just kind of exploded. So, the first book I'd read was, it's called The Flipping Blueprint by Luke Weber. You should read it if you haven't. But it explains how you can leverage other people's money for your real estate. But you can also bring in contractors to do all the work, it just blew my mind. So
Yeah. There's a lot of people like, I go out today and like people know me as like the house flipper, right? And I got people always asking me, well, hey, can you come over and do my roof, or can you come and do that, do this for me? And I'm like, I'm not, I don't really do all the work yourself, right? As an investor, you want to sub some of that stuff out, and I'm not really at the properties on a day to day basis swinging the hammer, and I want to be out looking for other properties. So and I don't, what I know of you, you don't really swing the hammer neither at any of your properties.
No, I definitely do not swing a hammer anymore. I thought that's the way you get it done. I thought about, getting a trailer, creating a construction crew. And then once I realized you just kind of hire a general contractor or multiple general contractors at this point and hire everything out, it's way more scalable.
Yeah.
So I began to do that.
Yep. So that's awesome. So where did you get the money for your first flip?
So my first flip, I had some funds set aside from a house I'd sold, and I just sold the house like I owned it, and I sold it, and I made some money. I didn't do anything to it.
That was your personal residence that you sold?
That was my personal residence.
Okay.
I had moved in with a buddy, and then I went to a traditional bank, a local bank of mine, and they funded it for me. And, they did a construction loan for me. And so I was living with him and then working on working full time during the day from 6 to 2:30, 6 to 3:30. And then in the evenings, I would go there with my buddy and I, and we would work on the property. It was a full gut, walking down to the studs because there was a lot of paneling. So we did, drywall, we did everything, all new cabinets, countertops, flooring, trim, name it, painting. And I'm not a laborer, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's not my cue. I like to do like some hands-on stuff when I'm feeling the need, but to that extent, it's just not me. So that's that. That's how we did that. I funded it with a traditional bank, and they did construction draws for me. So I would do a portion of the work. My banker would come out and she'd come in and she'd take pictures, and then she'd go back and she'd send some funds over to my account. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, well, good. And then, so moving forward, we learned, we done some stuff together with private money. Was actually able to raise quite a bit of private money out of one event. It kind of led to, a couple, I think first like the event, I think if I recall, it was like 75,000, and then with some of the other people kind of fell in, and it got up to like 200,000 or 300,000, and then just through connections and so forth, and more events that you were doing on your own. But how does that stuff change your life, and how has real estate changed your life? Like, raising private money, and you got hard money.
Up, Gary.
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you not hear me?
There you are.
Yeah. So how has real estate, Brad, kind of changed your life? Raising private money and doing hard money, and how has that really, like finances, how has that changed your life?
So it is my life. I guess, I began leveraging hard money. And if some of you don't know, hard money, these are lenders that will lend on projects for real estate, new construction, rehabs. They'll do, 70 to 80% loan to value. And then the rest of the funds, with our events that we held and I was able to raise private money, I'd bring lenders in to fund the rest of that 20 to 30%. And then, I secure their money with a note and a mortgage. And I obviously give them my disclosure documents, explaining kind of my business model and everything I've done. So yeah, it's really helped me scale my business. You can only go so far with your own funds. And then, bringing in different types of funding has allowed me to run multiple projects at a time and, receive multiple paydays.
Now, before you really got into, say, real estate, did you understand any of this, the different funding and financing is available out there? Have you ever heard of private money or even like hard money guys?
I had no idea.
Yeah.
I
And
had no.
so, yeah. So somebody starting out, somebody that's maybe even watching this video that's starting out, like, what's some advice you would give them as far as getting started and learning about like the different types of financing available for real estate investors?
I think the best advice I could give is change the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So, when I'm talking to somebody, they ask me what I do. I don't say I fix and flip houses or I buy rentals or any of that. I tell them I help other people get rich, or I help other people get wealthy. So changing that conversation opens up a door
Yeah.
that they start asking more questions. Well, how do you help someone get rich? Well, this is what I do, and I take them down that road. So changing that conversation and reaching out to some people is huge. Networking is massive. I believe relationship capital will take you to new heights.
Yep. It's all about who you know in some cases. So yeah. What's one of some of the golden nuggets, Brad, that you've picked up over the last 12 months or so in the real estate? Because you've really, I mean, the last 12 months has been amazing for you. So what's something that you've really picked up and can pass on to other individuals?
Oh man, I got a ton of nuggets. I guess the first nugget I would start out with is definitely networking and mindset. Some people I've met, the things they're doing to where I was at was like a world of difference. And it's kind of like, how do you get there?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's a switch. It's a switch in your head. It's like, I can do that too. So then you start thinking bigger. So it's the actions you need to take to get to that next step, right? So whether it be, it's all relevant. If you want to make 10,000 or you make 100,000, it's all relevant. It's just thinking bigger.
Yep.
So that's a huge transition for me. I leverage other people's knowledge to grow my business. So I've got one business partner now in Columbus.
Mm-hmm.
He's great at project management. He thinks a lot bigger than I had, last year. And once we were able to kind of team up, and I'm like, wow,
yeah,
my business kind of exploded.
Yep. So, and you talk about like, the different numbers. One of the things that I kind of, started off with is, when I first maybe got into the real estate business, $1 million was a lot of money. And now it's just essentially just a number. And so, looking at deals, 40, $50 million type of scenario, but like, what's that like for you? Like that transition, do you still look at, making $10,000, or not necessarily making, but like, looking at deals at 10,000, 20,000. We were talking about a deal the other day that, you're getting into potentially buying businesses, and businesses are 2 million, 4 million, production. So once you understand to how to buy, sell, how this investment world, happens, it's really just a process now, correct?
Correct. It's all a number. Like I said, it's relevant. Once you start seeing how easy it can be to make money, obviously it takes work, and it takes a lot of mindset transition for sure. I think that's number one.
Yeah.
It's easy. You're right. It is. It's just a number, and then you can start thinking bigger, from single family houses and duplexes to 4 units to a 30 unit apartment to 200 units to buying and selling businesses. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Yep. And once you do it once, you can duplicate it. And it works the same process, whether it's a $10,000 property or a $10 million property, right?
Correct.
Yep. Okay. What, you've had mentors, you got mentors now. What are some advices, when it comes to maybe like a mentor, what are things that you've learned from some of your mentors over the last couple of years?
Add value.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's huge. Kind of when I met you, I was trying to always benefit you more so than myself as well. You know what I mean? I'm just trying to use you for what it's worth, but always adding value and developing their belief system or borrowing their belief system. So believing you can do something more than what you are doing is massive. And someday I hope to educate a ton of people. So that's actually that's one of my main goals is to
Yep.
help people in the future. So
yeah, my whole ordeal is to give back. The knowledge. See, I was raised. You didn't have. We didn't really have the knowledge that I have now. I didn't even. Unfortunately, my parents didn't teach me about stock market. I didn't know anything about it. I knew of stocks, but I didn't know how to buy them. I didn't know how to, they told me, put money in a savings account type of deal. We didn't learn anything about investing. And so it was my own education. Now I don't have a college degree. And so I had to do my own education that route. I had to, self-educated. So, and I've spent a lot of time and money at seminars and buying courses and reading books, and that's how I'm taught. And I find mentors that can do it. So very similar to what you've done. So
I lost you, Gary.
Yep. Can you hear me? On the field, we got a bet. I can hear you just fine.
Okay. Now I got you back. So you were talking about education. Did you have a question?
Yeah. So like what is your, for those that are following, I was kind of mentioning, Brad, I know you cut out, I don't have a college degree. And so my education was a lot of seminars and self-education and self-help. What's your education like?
So it started with books, and then it went to podcasts and more books. And then it went to a mentor, and then it went to seminars and more mentors and partnerships. So it was it was kind of gradual. But I think, telling somebody, like now I've invested over 30,000 in myself and education, and that's, basically seminars over the past 2 years. Somebody would probably think that's absolutely absurd, but it's not. And it's not even a lot of money, really. I mean, maybe to some it is to an extent, but they always pay themselves back for sure.
Yep.
And, I know guys that invest, hundreds of thousands in themselves a year and masterminds and being able to surround themselves with guys who are all millionaires, who are all doing different types of businesses.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's huge. I think it's one of the most important factors in your business is education. I'm always investing in myself, man. I'm always listening to YouTube, and I'm always reading books. I'm always reaching out to people and talking to people and seeing what we can do together, and sometimes I help people. I had a buyer for a guy last week. He had a house in Marion. I'm like, I talked to a guy, a few weeks back that wanted a house in Marion. I connected him, and he sold the deal to him, and he made some money, and he wanted to send me some money. I'm like, don't send me any money, man. I'm just trying to help you. And I know those type of things will really pay itself back in the long run. So, investing in yourself is huge. Relationships are just as important.
Yeah. So we've got a question here. Actually, someone put in the comments from Phil.
You cut out on me, Gary.
Yeah, I don't know if it's our internet connection or what. Can you not hear me, Brad? I'm going to answer Phil's question. So once you have a hard money lender and a private lender lined up, how would a first timer negotiate those terms? With the hard money, Phil, they will negotiate the term. They'll essentially set the terms itself. On the private lender, depending on the relationship you have with that particular private lender, you're going to set the parameters yourself, and you may have to, depending on the scenario, you may have to deal with the rules and regulations of the SEC, the Securities and Exchange. But with my private lenders, I set the parameter. I pay 8%, I pay 10%, whatever the scenario is with my private lender. It's I'm flipping the house. You're going to get payments during interest only payments, or potentially you're going to get accrued interest until I sell the house if I'm flipping it. And so that you will set those parameters up. You will have to disclose those in a what they call a disclosure documentation. And depending on your relationship, if you're accredited, non-accredited, you may have to take some of that stuff into consideration. But feel free to reach out to me in a private message, and I can kind of help walk you through some of the steps of negotiating those terms and make sure you're compliant with all the rules and regulations with the SEC when you're raising private money. When it comes to the hard money guys, they set their parameters. That's their business. That's what they do professionally. And so they're going to set the terms of how and when you're going to use the money and how they get the money back. So back to you, Brad. Do you have anything to add on Phil's comment? Could you hear me back? I know I kind of lost you.
Yeah, no, I can hear you. I think, Phil, to dive a little bit deeper into that, is to educate your lenders. So they might have no clue what kind of interest rate they're getting right now. So if you can kind of walk them through that process, and you may have to educate yourself first too. A typical ETF, mutual fund, diverse funds, or whatever, you're going to get 2 to 5%. So if you can explain to them, hey, I can get you 8 to 12%, and maybe a light bulb goes off in their head. So
absolutely, you
need to educate yourself a little bit on that stuff if you don't already, and then show them what you can do for them. And they might just have money sitting at CD in their savings. They might have it in an IRA ready to pull the trigger at any time. So changing the conversation and adding value and educating them will lead you to that road. So
absolutely. So tell us about some of your deals, Brad. Tell us about, you've said you've talked about deal. What kind of deals are you working right now?
So I just left a closing a minute ago. I just closed another duplex and a condo.
Nice.
Got a flip closing next week. I've got a closing that it's sold to a retail buyer. So that was nice. I did a house in Southern Orchards of Columbus. I'm working on funding another flip. We're looking to either close that at the end of this week or next week. We're going to start working on that. So essentially, we've got a duplex going right now. We'll have another duplex going, which I just closed on today, and then another rehab going as well. So about 3 to 4 at a time is kind of the current pace.
Now, are all these done in Columbus, Ohio?
Yeah.
And for those that don't know, Brad, you live in Mansfield, Ohio, which is a little over an hour north of Columbus, correct?
Correct. I live in Richland County.
Yeah.
I do some things up here. I've got 5 duplexes up here. I've done a couple flips up here this year. I've sold some deals. I've assigned some contracts to a local property manager who's bought some deals of mine. So I do some things up here, and I'm gaining some traction. But I'm intuitive, I guess, up here. There's not as much investing up here, so it's a little bit of different conversation you have with sellers than you do in Columbus, and working 2 different markets, it teaches you a lot.
Columbus market, you got some really hot spots. If you pick up properties, and there's a lot of room for some pretty good profits right now, and stuff sells really quickly in most cases in Columbus. So what are some other advice of somebody getting started, Brad, that you've picked up over the last 2 years getting started?
Don't get it right, just get it going. Put down the book and get gritty. I know there's people out there that just they educate, but they never pull the trigger. So taking action is the most important thing. When I bought that house off the MLS, I had no idea what the heck I was doing. I just knew that's what I wanted to do. I guess stay curious. You know what I mean? I didn't want to clock in and out every day. I never wanted to.
Yep.
I was good at my job, whatever. But that's not what I was passionate about. And I just stayed curious
Yeah.
until I found my passion. And now I live it every day. So I'm truly grateful for that.
That's one
Just
thing
take
I admire
action.
about
Don't
you,
get it
man.
right. Just get it going. So find a property,
Yeah.
look for the funding, put it in contract, see what happens. Go down that road. If you got to fall out of contract, whatever, you learned a valuable lesson on how not to fall out of contract next time. You start looking for ways to find the money. And you got the money, you close the deal. Now you got to get it. You got to get it rehab. Well, what are you going to do? You're going to reach out to some contractors. You just get it going. Just figure out what you want to do.
Yeah. That's one thing I really admire about you, Brad, is you've always taken action. And whether you had all your ducks in a row, I mean, you were out there and you took action immediately, and it didn't matter, what was going on. You went and got in contract, and you tried to get, you busted your butt to get everything going through on that deal. So, and that's something that a lot of people. I just done a boot camp over the weekend, and we had close to 100 folks or something like that on the boot camp, and it was about raising private money. And one of the big things is we had to stress is you've got to take action immediately. You may not know 100% of everything that you need to know, to start it, right? It was immediately to start taking action and getting the ball rolling into your favor. So making the phone calls, making the, offers, whatever it is, in real estate, just go out and do it. And, there's ways, that's why you have contracts, and you do have, eventually you'll have teams. Like you're hiring people now, Brad, right? And so those are things that you're going to pass on to them and have them start taking action, and your team, even outside of your employees, you have your team that will help you, your mentors, your business associates, your attorney, things like that you can reach out to. A good title company with an attorney is awesome to have a hold of as well. They help me tremendous. All you do is got to call them up and say, "Hey, I done this. Is this, can we still close?" type of scenario. So
yeah, those relationships are huge. My title company is a text away, so
yeah,
that's very important to me and to you and to all else in this business is having those people that are extension. So your attorneys, your title company, your lenders, your contractors, your partners, everything, your mentors, they're all extension. Like you said, yes, I am hiring next week, so I think that's going to help hold me to a different standard of accountability too.
Yep.
Her success depends on mine.
Yep. So, absolutely.
If she's not eating, I'm not eating. So
yeah.
It's going to get interesting, but I think there's going to be a big cultural change in my business.
Yeah. Now, what about goals? Do you literally sit down and write your goals down, Brad? Do you have a certain goal that you're looking for each month, each year? How does your goals work for you?
I am very goal oriented, so I think that is it's huge. Not just the January 1st and kind of write them down on notepad and throw it away a week later. I've got this written in a Word document. I constantly reviewed it. My number one goal this year was to get out of my full-time job. I hit it. So I'm able to review them. I typically review them like quarterly, but I always keep my number one goal at the top of the list. But I review them. They change and they get bigger. So it's weird, you'll get to 75% of your goal, and now it's time to recycle that and go bigger. So it's cool watching that transition happen. But yeah, I'm writing my goals in my notes. I'm writing them when I journal daily. I've got them on a Word document. I'm reciting them in my head all the time. I know exactly where I want to go. Hopefully within the next 6 to 12 months, I want another 100 units under my belt. I also have some revenue goals on the side of that, and I kind of have a vision of what my team's going to look like, and so
yeah. Give us an insight of what your team's going to look like in the next 12 months.
So
I'm going to hold you accountable for this now.
Yeah,
this is recorded, man. I got a live recording right now.
Hold me accountable. I love it. Huge. So right now I'm bringing on the acquisitions manager. I've got my business partner in Columbus. So I want my team to look like, I would like another project manager. So that's number one. Then I also want maybe a transaction coordinator and a marketing person, because I feel like I'm best in the dispo position right now. It's kind of the hat I can wear confidently. I'm not that great at marketing. I know how to market, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. As far as the actions, I would rather have someone take that off my plate, and the transaction coordination, because there's a lot on that end when you're closing a lot of deals. So I've noticed, we're title companies, attorneys, and lenders. You're organizing a lot just for one deal, and if you've got 5 to 10 going at a time, there's so many moving pieces. So I think a transaction coordinator / marketing agent or something is the next, and then I'd like a project manager, and then I'll wear the dispo hat as long as I can.
Yeah. Okay. Couple of more questions, and then we're going to kind of wrap up for the day, Brad. Can you still hear me? You kind of your camera's kind of phasing out. I don't know if it's your internet but you still there?
You broke up, Gary.
We might be losing you, Brad. I don't know if it's connection or what, but big picture, Brad. What is it like being the guy that everybody's chasing right now? I mean, guys right now, I've got guys calling me about Brad and how he's on fire. How's he doing it? So what is it like, man? I mean, everybody's wanting to be like you now.
It's a cool transition, but they can just reach out to me. I'm always willing to have a conversation with somebody. And I've told some other guys, that have reached out to me, and they're like, man, how do I get to where you're going? I'm like, man, I don't think I'm anywhere. You know what I mean? Just take action. Just keep doing what you're doing. And it's a lot closer than you think it is. So did I think I'd have, 30 rental units in, a year? No. Do I? Yeah. Do I think I can get 100 in next year? Yeah, I can get
absolutely.
It. I can get more. It's all relevant. Take action, network with people, call guys like me, and have that conversation. And yep. I'll give you my straight and forward answers on it. Just take action. Stay true to your goals. Talk to people. But yeah, the most important thing is just taking action.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Taking action, man. So we're going to leave on that note. And, I can't stress enough, like some of the mottos that I've always lived by, and, act like a champion, attitude, conditioning, and techniques. And I know I've hit this on other episodes, but, that literally you've got to take the action in order to be successful. Whether you know 100% of it, I can't tell you how many salespeople I trained over the years that say, I can't do it until I have a business card or brochures. Get out there and just start taking action, going and doing it. If you're selling widgets, go out and just start selling. Go door to door if you have to. Knock on everybody's door. Pick up the phone and make 1,000 calls. Whatever it looks like, go out and start doing it and start learning from there. Get the education, but most importantly, take action. Just get out and do it. So, hey, Brad, I appreciate you being on the show. Any last words for the viewers? I think we're losing you, man. You're kind of freezing on us. So
you broke up again, Gary.
All right, man. Hey, I appreciate you being on the show.
Thank you.
We're having a bad connection here, so I appreciate it, guys. Reach out to Bradley if find him, connect with him on social media. He's on Facebook. Just search his name, and you can look for that pretty mug of his, shaved head now.
Yeah, look at that. It's glaring in the light.
I remember that appointment we went to, and you had a hat on or something, Brad, and you took your hat off, and it was like the sun, the light was shining up there, man. Yeah, no, hey, you look good, man. Shaving.
I appreciate it.
All right, man. Have a great day, Brad.
You too. Talk to you soon.
Thank you guys, and thanks for tuning in today.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.